Firearm concealed carry, the current trend that I see amongst the professionals. My top 5 observations about the current trends that I am seeing in 2018 with what gun they use for concealed carry and how they carry it. Number one thing that they all seem to agree on is a gun that does not have a safety. Whatever gun they have, no manual safety on it. Because there have been times where people pull out the gun and in the heat of the moment, they do not remember to take that manual safety off. So a lot of them are fine with that. You just pull out the gun and use it. No safety, no little catch, nothing to have to manipulate. The next thing that they want is a sturdy holster that does not allow that trigger to be pulled. So anything that is like a soft or pliable material is out of the question, because the reality is if a gun is in the holster and that trigger is covered, that gun is not going to go off unless it is an extremely poorly made gun. It doesn't matter how you're carrying it, that gun should not go off until that trigger is pulled. Therefore, the sturdiness of a holster is almost as if it is a safety in and of itself. It is something preventing the trigger from being pulled unless somebody pulls a gun out and manually pulls the trigger themselves. Now, the number 3 thing that they want is a round in the chamber so that they do not have to spend time racking the gun. They all seem to want to carry a round in the chamber. The idea of pulling out the gun when you need it right now and then having the muscle memory to rack that slide back, let it go forward, rack it back all the way back to where it's enough and doesn't cause a failure to food because you racked it back not completely back, or you maybe eased it forward rather than let it just slam forward. That can cause a failure to feed. People don't want to go through that when they're getting into a combat situation. They don't want to have to do that extra step, so they all seem to carry one in the chamber. Now, number 4 is they want a holster that can be carried all the time effectively and comfortably. So a holster that does not kind of rub them the wrong way to where they're constantly having to readjust their belt or their pants. A holster to where if you're sitting down, you don't have to like readjust something for your fat gut. And you don't, and then when you stand up, you don't have to then tighten your belt. And I've found that a lot of people prefer appendix carry because of this. And the reality is, yeah, if you're drawing the gun out and your finger slips on that trigger and you pull the trigger of the gun, I mean, you would be better off if you carried the gun somewhere else if there is an accidental discharge. I think that with the right training, you won't have that accidental discharge. Personally, that's what I think. Don't pull the trigger while you're drawing the gun or reholstering it. And if appendix is the comfortable carry method for you, it should work. And understand that getting these holsters that are very, very comfortable might cost like 50 to $100. And a lot of people, they cheap out. And then they'll get something that is not going to be as good. It's not going to be as comfortable. And sometimes downright dangerous, the thing that they cheap out and get. No, number 5 trend that I'm seeing now is a holster that does not print. So just the material on the holster not printing. But I'm going to tell you, I'm seeing this both ways. I mean, technically, the less it prints, the better. The more, people are looking around and seeing a little bulge. But also, I have read it both ways to where people just claim that the situational awareness of others is so dim that if they see your gun printing or not, it shouldn't really matter. I mean, if you're going into a place where it's legally allowed anyways, the worst thing that could happen is somebody sees that your gun's printing and while you're not looking tries to knock you out to take your gun. What is the likelihood of that happening? What is the likelihood of it being even noticed? the argument swings both ways with the whole printing. Now, the honorable mention is this next big trend that is coming out now that probably wasn't there 8 to 10 years ago, and that is that the 9mm is just enough. That seems to be the trend. Whether it's XDS, Smith & Wesson Shield, Glock 43, whatever, they seem to be content with the 9mm. A lot of people do not seem to think that having to have the 45 or the 40 is necessary anymore. They use the 9mm rounds with extremely good technology behind them, and they seem perfectly content with the ballistic gel results and whatever they're doing, shooting through denim or whatever. They seem to be, a lot of these experts seem to be just fine with what that 9mm round is capable of. Let me know your preferred carry method, and also let me know if you're anti-appendix carry and why. Take care.